Hello, welcome to Win Some Loosemore. My name is Dieter and you join me for another top games list. I've done top 10s in the past and I will continue to do those, but I've taken a slightly different approach to this one. In my ranking of all the games that I've ever played, it's a balance. How I've ordered them is kind of a balance between the fun element, how much I enjoy, like how much excitement I get from it, versus the kind of enjoyment of the mental taxation. It might not be an outward enthusiastic enjoyment, but like an inward, oh, that's really satisfying thing, versus my appreciation of the design or the visual design as well. So the either mechanical design of the game or the visual design, all of those things kind of mush together to go, I might enjoy this one more, but I think this one is a better game, and so how do I balance all that? So that's why I tend to have the same games kind of appearing each time, maybe one or two swap around a little bit or a new one comes in. So what I thought I'd do this time is take more than just 10 games. This is going to be 25 games that I thoroughly enjoy playing. This would be if you were to come over right now and said, what do you want to play? These would be the games that I would think of in reverse order, in the order that I would think of them. So I'll start with the one I would think of 25th to the game that I would think of first and going, oh, I would love to play this. Now there was some difficulty doing this, obviously, because there are different reasons why I'd want to play some. So this would move around much more. Some of it's to do with their news, some of it's to do with player count, some of it's to do with all sorts of things that I'll try and explain as I go along. I do not own all of these games, so I can't show them to you. I'm not going to hold up all the boxes because I probably own 10, 15 of these, and that's just lots of boxes to try and manage. So either links will appear with the little eyes that appear sometimes, which side, this side probably, I don't know. Check out in the top corners of the screen. If I've done a video on it, more than likely it'll come up. I'll put a link to my Why I Like playlist so you get to see some of that stuff, but also other games. I'll put a link to their Board Game Geek page so you can find out a bit more, find other reviews for those if what I say sounds interesting to you. So my top 25 games that I would love to play right now. Good. Number 25. If you were to come round thinking of all the games, number 25 is currently Men at Work. It's a dexterity game, lots of fun. We've played it with children, played it with adults. The reason it's on this list, it beat out Ticket to Ride, New York. The reason it's on this list mostly right now is Kirsty's enthusiasm about it. It's wrestling even for her number one slot for just how much she enjoys this game, and it is fun, it is funny. Dexterity games are fine, we've got a couple of them, but this one is good fun. It's a stacking game, and you've got these little worker meeples with their little hard hats on. It's all fun, and it's very brightly coloured, very kid friendly, very colourblind friendly. The rules are really simple, and yet it tends to be that somebody loses last rather than somebody wins, because it's just good, silly fun. Men at Work. Number 24, Targi. This is in my top 10 games if I do it the other way. Is number 24. I enjoy playing it, I enjoy teaching it, but it is that more quiet, solemn, I'm really thinking it out. Although it's only a 2-player game, it's only small, but it is an hour and 15 kind of minute long game of really plodding through this really clever worker placement axis mechanism that I really appreciate the mechanisms. It looks dull, and so if I pulled this off the shelf for you, you'd probably go, oh, okay. And that's why it's a bit lower on this list. It doesn't look exciting, but I do thoroughly enjoy the gameplay. Number 23, Sonar. Trying to rattle through these as quickly as possible. This is a 2 to 4 or 2 or 4 really, a dry wipe game where two people or just one person is against another one or two people with kind of a map of where they're sending their submarine, trying to hide from the other, trying to angle themselves up to shoot and take out the other people, whilst at the same time another map with a movable slidey thing to try and find the other people, because everybody has to announce the direction but not where that they are, and so you're trying to hunt these people down, shooting them twice with torpedoes before they get you. Again, much much quieter, very thinky kind of stressful tension, and it's great fun. I think the reason it's only this low, partly because the other games are great. All of these games are really good, and I'd happily play any of them at any moment. But again, I don't know how to sell people on it. It's battleships, but the way battleships always should have been. And if you don't like battleships, you go, oh really? But people that have played it every time are going like, oh, that's really good, that's really clever. Like it's good fun. 22. No, Men at Work did not knock out Ticket to Ride New York. What did it knock out? Something else, because number 22 is Ticket to Ride New York. Oh, good. I'm really pleased this is here. Should have looked at this properly before. I did. I was making it just before now. But, oh gosh, what was gone? Who knows? A game that I wouldn't even think of, clearly. Ticket to Ride New York, brilliant. If you want to play Ticket to Ride, fine. If you want to play it quickly, excellent. We can do it multiple times if you want to play it that much. But it's a really easy sell. A lot of people have heard of Ticket to Ride. And yet this one is much smaller. It's designed for 2 to 4, as is the big one, but the big one at 2 players, rubbish. So if there's only one person coming through, this is the one I'm going to give you. It's very simple, lovely game, and the little car pieces are nice. Yes, you don't buy a ticket to do 12 different taxi rides. Sure, who cares? It's great fun, very simple set collection. You draw cards. Once you've got ones of certain colours, you lay them down to place your pieces on that route to try and complete journeys that you want to make, and with the New York one, touch as many landmarks as possible. Something you may notice from this list is that it's probably slightly lighter in terms of how in-depth or hard the games are. It's probably a bit lighter, this list, than a top games list might be. It's not a gateway list. There's things. Target, I don't think, is a gateway game, but it's more that it's just easily accessible for people, whether you've played games before or not. These are ones I think you'll get and you'll enjoy. So that was Ticket to Ride New York. 21, I think, is the only cooperative game on my list. Now, my favourite cooperative game, I have 2 in my top 10. Neither of them are here. Seventh Continent and Lord of the Rings, the card game. That's not either of these. This is from the designer of a very popular cooperative game called Pandemic, which is a lot of people's favourite game, or in their favourite games. He did a series called the Forbidden series, which is much lighter, much simpler even than Pandemic. Pandemic's not a hard game. It's sometimes hard to win, but it's not a hard game to understand and play and enjoy. This is Forbidden Island, probably the simplest of this series. And it is its simplicity that I enjoy so much. And if you want to play a co-op, I don't own it. I keep having to borrow it for people, or just go to people's places that own it, because I never quite get round to it because I have access to it. I never think to get it. I try to get it in trades and things, but great game. Check it out. Forbidden Island, excellent cooperative game. You're trying to gather these things and get back to your helicopter before the whole island sinks and tiles flip, and you can stop having access to certain locations. Good, it's clever, it's tense. Where are we? 20, 5 down. Number 20 is a fun, large group game. This works in 3 and 4. We've done it at the smaller player counts, and it's equally enjoyable at those as well, but it goes up to 7. This is between 2 castles of Mad King Ludwig. So this is a production from Stonemaier Games, who a few years ago produced Between Two Cities, which is a tiled drafting game, but you're not working on your own, you're working with the people next to you. And so in, say, a 5-player game, I'm working with Kirsty and I'm working with my dad, whilst my dad is working with my mum and my brother. With me and my mum. My mum's working with my dad and my brother. My brother's working with my mum and Kirsty's working with my brother and me. So everybody's working with the 2 people either side of them, getting tiles, trying to build. You're not your own castle in this one, city originally, but they kind of rethemed it a little bit based on another game that they like from Bezier Games, Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I'm going to get that wrong. But it's very similar game. And you're drafting, so not only are you trying to think of what the best tiles are for each of these 2 castles, but you can't just run away going, well, I'm just going to make a really good one and forget the one I'm making with my dad. That's stupid. Because your lowest score of your 2 castles is your score. And so it really doesn't matter on the player count because drafting, everybody's doing simultaneously. What's really great about this game for the group sizes is that everybody's kind of talking all of the time. You do that little 30 seconds, minute of thinking which one's going to go here, or have you got any of this? Oh, no, okay, you're not allowed to talk. Okay, well, all right, I'll do this one, pass the stack on. Right, Kirsty, this is what I want to do. Here's all the things. This is the tile I'm thinking. Where shall it go? Okay, Dad, whilst he's talking to somebody else. So it's just brilliant communal activity. As I say, that the scoring mechanism is really fun, really clever. Of your worst outcome is your score, so you want to be building up both equally, but sometimes the tiles don't match and there's different scoring bonuses and things. It's just clever, good, solid, clever game. It does have a 2-player. It's okay. 3 to 7 between Two Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Number 19 is a game we no longer own, but is just lovely and really easy to get people into. It's a game called Takenoko, in which you're achieving very abstract goals. You're trying to be the best keeper of a panda, I think, really. But there's this lovely little panda figure, a gardener figure, and these lovely wooden stacking bamboos. And you're building up this map competitively, but one map, and trying to irrigate it to grow bamboos, to feed your pandas to feed the panda different types of bamboo, to satisfy goals, and you get points for that. You get points for different bamboos that you've grown. You get points for different terrains that have appeared on the map. So it's very abstract. You're not actually doing anything that world would give you credit for necessarily, but very, very fun game. And it's just fun moving the panda around. There's a single die that you roll at the beginning of your second turn onwards, which is a weather die, and something might happen. Some lightning might hit the panda and scare it and make it run to a different point, and you're just trying to play with all of these things. But lovely models. Matago have done an excellent production on this. I'm sad we don't have it now. If ever we have spare money, I may look at getting it again. But it's better for larger groups. 2's fine. 2's absolutely fine, but it just wasn't getting played with us. That's why it's gone. But if you came over, I'd love to play it. Number 18 is only a 2-player game. There's going to be a few of these on the list because I've just played a lot of them. This is Santorini. A very clever abstract strategy game with an excellent production. Roxley have made this, like the whole board is raised up off the table. It's on this plinth, this mountain of, I think it's like Mount Olympus or something, or the place called Santorini, probably. I've not been to know what it looks like. But you are moving your character around and building these white buildings, which I do know exist in the place called Santorini. If you Google it, you'll see these beautiful white buildings with blue domes. That's what you're building in this game. But it's very abstract. You get to move and then build somewhere around you, and your aim is to be on the top of a building. But your opponent can equally build on your buildings or the ones you've contributed to and cap it off with this little roof. And so you can't go on that one. So you're trying to trap each other, but build it up to climb to the top. Very clever. You think that's good. All of a sudden, it's got this extra thing that you can include of variable player powers that you get to just do these crazy extra stuff. And these cards have excellent art. It is beautiful to look at, really easy to persuade people to play, and very simple in concept, but a good amount of strategy that you might want to pull out of it. Santorini 17. Again, similar to Between Two Castles. This is because of group size and how many people can just enjoy it straight away. I'm going to have to just look here. I'm going to get close to the camera, but that's only because I don't have my glasses on. Let's grab my glasses. I think it says to 6. Yes, 1 to 6 is Tiny Towns. A very clever design where everybody has a little map, and there are a row of buildings that you can build that require different patterns of cubes. It's an abstract game. To construct, and each one scores in a different way or gives you a different power, but each person takes it in turn to be the person that calls which cube you're going to use. So I'm going to say I'm going to use a red cube, so I take a red cube. Everybody has to take a red cube and place it somewhere on their board. So we might be going after completely different buildings, but then you can use it to you shrink all the cubes down, take them off, and put the building on the place of where one of those cubes was, put up new ones, get rid of those, build a building. And so, although we're all having to take the same stuff, we're all going about it in very different ways, and to stop people just copying each other. You all have your own personal building as well, this monument that only you can build, and only your pattern is different to everybody else's, and how it scores is different. There's a whole stack of those in the game, so every time it's different. It's the kind of game that I've played once with people and they immediately go, can we do it again? I've got my head around it now, let's do it. It's not a confusing that they didn't enjoy, oh yeah, maybe we'll try this another time. It's halfway through the game, they realise the mistakes they've made, realise, actually, I'm really enjoying this, but I've done it wrong. Oh no. Okay, let's do the best I can out of this. Now that I've got to grips with it, okay, let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again. Great, let's do it again. Excellent fun, tiny towns, AG. Number 16, a classic for most modern board gamers. This is The Castles of Burgundy by Stefan Feld. A renowned designer of dry Euros. It's, I was going to say the second game of his I've owned, but the first one was The Castles of Burgundy, the card game. So I already had a taste of flavour of this before getting it. It's very simple, very cheap, and it looks cheap. The cardboard tiles are thin, the art is almost monochromatic, even though like the yellow, the green and the brown all almost look the same colour, and the colour's important, which is a shame. So not everybody's going to be able to play this because they just can't see the difference of what's going on. But the gameplay is excellent. That's what the visuals is what's held it down, but it's as high as it is because the gameplay is as good as it is. All you do is you roll dice. This is one of the heavier games, I suppose. You roll dice, and they are your actions, whatever. So I rolled a 4 and a 2, and so I'm going to use my 4. So I can take a tile from the number 4 area and put it in my planning area, or I can take a tile from a planning area and place it on a number 4 on my board, or I can just discard it and gain 2 workers, and then use the workers to change the number of my other dice, or all of this stuff. It's just very clever. You're building up your little plot of land, I suppose, with different buildings, pastures, castles, all these kinds of things. It's great fun building up the port so you can ship goods that you've made or got in, I don't remember. But much more to think about probably than any game I've mentioned so far. But again, mechanically very simple, so gameplay's great. I wouldn't play it with 4, it takes quite a while, but 2 and 3 is excellent. 15, probably a heavier game again, and possibly the heaviest on this list, certainly in contention for it. This is a game called Vast. It's from a company called Leader Games. Now, they may have done other things, but to my knowledge they've only really done 2 games of note. This first one is Vast, and the second is a game called Root, which is very popular, and both are multiplayer, truly asymmetrical games, in which the way that my character or faction work is completely different to yours, and is completely different to yours, and is completely different to yours. So Vast has a knight, a dragon, 3 tribes of goblins is one character, a thief, and the cave. You can control the map and try and collapse and trap people and crush them and stop them getting the things that they want. Wow, mental. So conceptually, that sells people, and they're like, oh, that's amazing. The look of it is amazing. I love the art style of this game. What's holding it back is not the gameplay. Once you're playing it, it's brilliant, and everybody's doing different things. What holds it back at the mid kind of level on this list is the fact that everybody gets a double-sided A4 of your character's rules. And my goodness, do you need it? You would probably need to play each character 2, 3, maybe 4 times to not need that sheet. And that might just be me being slow. But I say 4 times that if you've tried one, tried another, tried another, tried another, tried another, and then come back to it, you've probably forgotten because you were doing all the other things. They all, once they're all playing, interact amazingly. But the reason why Vast is less popular, I think, my brother made a good point, is that not only do your factions play differently, but they're also trying to achieve different things. In Root, their second game, to my knowledge, you're all trying to achieve the same thing, you're just going about it in different ways, so it's much easier to teach. This one, you've kind of just got to give them the A4 and go read it. You won't understand all of it. Gain the core understanding, do that whilst I'm setting up the game, then ask loads of questions, then we'll play, and about 4 turns in, you'll suddenly go, oh great, this is excellent game. But it truly is. Solo works, 2-player works. You have to choose which character you're going to put against which, but obviously the more people you have, up to 5, the better, because then you're seeing all of the game kind of interacting with itself as it should. But excellent production, excellent design, just the learning curve is huge. Number 14, let's get light again. Century Spice Road. This used to be in my top 10. It's not so much now. It's about here, actually, in my top games ever that I've played. Century Spice Road is a very simple, light game from Emerson Matsuuchi from Plan B Games, or it's published by Plan B. I don't know if he works specifically with them, but they published a series of games, the Century Trilogy, the first of which, Century Spice Road. Very simple game of trading spices. Clues in the name. You just have a hand of actions that you build up as the game goes on. One of the things you can do is just take a card, add it to your hand. Or you play a card and do what it does. And some of those are just produce spices. They're of different values, yellows. I forget what they are, because in each of the 3 Century games they're different things. It might be turmeric or saffron or something, I don't remember. Yellow, red, green and brown, and it is that abstract and themeless to some degree. But it looks really nice. It comes with these plastic bowls for each of the cubes, for each colour of cube, not 1 cube per bowl, that would be silly. But just very fast. You just do one thing, either play a card, pick up a card, complete a card by selling your spices to the people, the contracts that are out there, or resting and picking up all your cards again. That's it. So you're just doing one thing on your turn, so it goes around very quickly. I've discovered recently that the game goes even quicker because I'm playing a rule wrong. One of the main kinds of cards that you can play is a trade, and so I play this one where I turn into yellow cubes and get a red and a green. That card probably doesn't exist. That sounds super powerful, but that kind of thing. And I've been playing it, even though the rules say otherwise, and I've read them many times, that I do that one transaction, that's it. What the rules actually say, which would speed up the game so much, is if I play that card, I can do that transaction as many times on this turn as I'm able and want to do. So if I have 6 yellows, I can do the 2 for 2 3 times. I could trade all 6 for 3 reds and 3 greens. Oh, idiot. I'll probably enjoy it more now that I've figured out that I'm an idiot. But great fun, very fast, even faster now. But speaking of fast games, number 13 is a 10-minute only game, guaranteed, maximum even. It can be faster, but only slightly, because you're racing against a clock, and I doubt you're going to beat it by much. It's a game called Fuse. You're just rolling dice super fast, trying to defuse these bombs. This app, or any timer, you can use any timer, it doesn't need to be the app, but the app's just very funny because it's kind of hurling abuse at you that you're not going fast enough, be quicker. They've got a nice normal voice going, please save us, kind of thing, but there's a, oh come on, you're taking so long, kind of voice that we like using because it's funny for us. You just roll dice of different colours, try and complete the things on the cards. That's defusing a bomb, abstract again. Very simple. Again, you can do it 2 or 3 times in a row. I wouldn't recommend it. It's very stressful if you do it multiple times, because you start getting annoyed at the way people are doing it. Some people just grab the dice from the middle, and some people want to chat about which dice everybody's going to take, and you're like, no, we don't have time, just take it. Ah! Excellent. Fuse. Halfway through. Number 12. Drafting again. Drafting's very easy to teach people. You've got these things. Pick one of them. Pass it along. If you don't know why, that's okay. Eventually, you'll get another one of those things and you'll go, ooh, I want another one of those things. So you put it down, pass it on. You learn why you do it as you go along. It's fine. And a game that truly epitomizes that for me is Sushi Go, or in our case, Sushi Go Party. Excellent drafting game. If you came around and wanted to play drafting, this is what I would pull out. There are other ones, there are heavy ones, there are lighter ones. This is perfect for me. Sushi Go Party includes lots more things than just straight Sushi Go. And so it could be a different kind of game each time. Are you building sets, or do you only want pairs of things, or do I want you to have something so I don't take it, or do I see that you want something so I keep it? Like there's as much thought in it as you want to give it, really. It's just 3 rounds of drafting. We all start with, I forget, I'm going to get this wrong, 7 cards, let's say. Who knows? It'll be on screen if not. And you pick one, pass it along. Take the new hand, pick one, pass it along. You just do that, pick and pass, pick and pass, pick and pass, until you've got all your cards. Then we score them. Then we get new cards. And then we do it again, and we keep building our tableau. And it's great. Although in Sushi Go, they go away. Never mind. Puddings stay in some cases. Different rules. There's the... It's good. I'm getting ahead of myself and getting flustered. I will try and slow up the pace ever so slightly. Number 11. The second of the Century games, and the second to appear on my list, Century Eastern Wonders. This is now only up to 4-player. Spice Road was up to 5. 4-player, which should, and it started out being a negative. I don't think this game would work in 5-player without it being a whole lot bigger. This is a very, very lovely thinky game. Light, comparatively, as thinky games go, but provides a nice mental challenge that Spice Road didn't necessarily. It's almost as fast as Spice Road, but instead of just doing it with cards, you have boats on a map. And you only do one thing on your turn, either move and then do something, or stay there and do something else, or go to this place and do something else, either again producing cubes, doing the trade on the tile space now rather than the card. But you need to build an outpost to do that, and you want to do that early, otherwise it costs you. So there's extra things to think about, but some of the joy and ease of gameplay that Spice Road brought, but now with a little bit more thought, a little bit more really to think about, but still just to achieve those things. But now you have the spatial aspect of trying to get to the contracts. And because you've only got a couple of movement to begin with, but you can upgrade by putting out outposts to make yourself faster, or do you just jettison some cargo to make you lighter to go faster, and all these things. Lovely. A lot of people put this as the worst of the Century games. Honestly, it's my favourite. It comes and goes, but I think, yeah, I've probably played this one more now, even though I've played Spice Road so much. I've probably, over time, plodded over the last couple of years, just getting this one out, and it's great. It's great, and it's quite underrated for me. Century Eastern Wonders, check it out. Top 10. Here we go. Rome. R-O-A-M, not the place. To wander, to explore, to just enjoy the countryside. To Rome. Is new. Possibly why it's as high. Possibly. Don't know. But it's a new game to me, so I'm very excited about it. So it'll be one that I pulled out. It almost feels in the kind of Century style, Century feeling, although it's nothing to do with spices. You're not trading cubes or anything like that at all. This is an area control style game. But like Century Spice Road, we've got your hand of cards that you're building up. You do that in this, but it's a bit slower. There's a grid on the board that is comprised of 6 cards, and you play one of your cards that just says put pieces in this pattern, and whichever side of the board you're facing, it works in your direction, so it matters. And so I'm going to place it here, and I'm going to make this little L shape. That's my piece. It's cool. But you might play the same card, but your L shape goes the other way and whatnot. And then once a card of part of the grid is full up, we then see who wins it. And you can get coins by covering over coins on your turn. And that new card, if you win it, because you had the majority of pieces on there, is now another character, is now another card, which will add a different pattern to your hand. And so you add a new one. And so it's this developing engine building game like Spice Road, not as fast, a bit slower, a bit more methodical, but the artwork is amazing. It's so beautiful. The designer and artist and publisher and all the things, Ryan Lockett, it's beautiful. His art style is exceptional. The Century games look nice in a graphical design sense, but the art itself is a bit dull. This is beautiful and inspiring, and it's made me love worker placement, area control, which I don't enjoy them. They're always dry and dull. This is beautiful and makes me want to find all the characters to get better at the game, but just to see the artwork, see the names and the funny little sentences. Like, this guy was found with his head under a rock, and you're like, why? And you look at his face and go, yeah, he probably would have been found with his head under a rock. Like, it's whimsical and beautiful. Beautiful game. Rome from Ryan Lockett. Number 9, pure, fast, good, simultaneous card play, Race for the Galaxy. Never lasts as long as you want it to, because somebody's just finished and you're like, oh no, I forgot that it was a race, even though it's called Race for the Galaxy. This is a simultaneous action selection game. You've got a hand of actions and a hand of cards. Your hand of actions, you choose one, place it face down. Everybody does that at the same time, so now we flip and we do all of the actions that everybody's put out. But some people might have chosen the same ones, and that's okay. And we go through them in order, and if you were the person to choose it, you get a better version of that action. Everybody gets to do all of the actions that were chosen, but if you chose number 2, you get the same as everybody else, but one more, or something was cheaper, or whatever it might be. There's a bonus to choosing that action. And so at different player counts, it's almost a different game, because you want to try and think, what is everybody else going to choose that actually, if I play this later action and hope that they want to do this action, then actually I've been able to do both. Yes, I didn't get to do it as well, but actually, no, I know they're going to do that action anyway, but I do want to do it cheaper and better. Okay, so I will play that one. So that whole process is one thing. Excellent fun. Then your hand of cards is everything. They're the cards you're trying to build to get to the 12 cards, which triggers the end of the game. That's the race, is build 12 cards. But you're trying to balance that race against the points available on the cards, the style of play that you want to do, how these cards affect your actions and make them better or not, make other things cheaper, and you must pay for those cards with the other cards in your hand. So if you've got an amazing cost of 6 card, but you've only got 3 cards in your hand, you can't use that. And so do you sacrifice that one and use that to pay for a cheaper card to have built one or not? And lots of lovely decision making. Love it. Race for the Galaxy by Tom Lehman of Rio Grande Games. Number 8, 2-player only game, is my favorite Uwe Rosenberg game. No, it's not Bonanza. And Caverna's great. Tried that one as well. Honestly, my favorite Uwe Rosenberg game is Patchwork. Definitely done a video for this. See that little eye up here very excitedly to show it to you. Just little Tetris pieces, putting them out on your board. That simple. Watch the video. Great fun. Patchwork, number 8. Number 7, bit heavier again, Concordia. Got that card play from Century Spice Road, but now there's a board and a map to figure out, and it's a much longer, more in-depth game. You're acquiring cards at a much slower rate, but the cards that you gain will be how you score things at the end of the game, depending on which god they're associated with in Roman mythology. Brilliant, big game. You can play it 2 or 3 player on a smaller map, or it flips over, so great scaling. I love games that have different boards for different player counts. Or the bigger map of the whole Roman Empire within Europe anyway, that you're then exploiting for different resources, to move around the board, to have control over other resources, to then trade in to do other things, to do all sorts of lots of big and lovely, crunchy, excellent things. If you want to play a big Euro, like dry, there is a theme and it does make sense, but that's not what I'm playing it for. I'm playing it for the pure joy of manipulating mechanisms. Concordia is a beast. Love it. Number 6 also scales brilliantly and also uses different sides boards. This is from the same people as Ticket to Ride New York, Days of Wonder. This is Small World, the other game that is the exception to my area control rule, because this is silly. Love a silly game, really easy to teach people. It's not that easy. It's kind of next step. It's not a true gateway like some of these are. Kind of a next step. You've played a few games, you kind of get some gaming principles. Okay, Small World. Except the theme is so silly. You match a mythological race with a crazy magical power or a scoring power. And so you get just these bizarre and silly and hilarious and memorable combinations of things, like seafaring ogres or something that just doesn't make sense. And just how does that work? Because the trolls live in little strongholds that you put on there, but they can fly, and so I can drop these strongholds on different parts of the map, and that's bizarre. And then you've got the farmers who are just dull humans, and like, oh, they're field workers. So the story that comes out of it, even though you've only got these races for probably 2 or 3 turns, because then you put them into decline and get another race and do it all again and spread out and die and get another one and go out again and kill everything and then die. Like, it's just a really fun, silly, back and forth kind of war game, but really not. Kind of area control game, like it is. That's how you score points, but you're not strategizing about how, oh, if I take this one, then I have this stronghold in this area to be able to move forward. Nah, it's not that kind of game. It's ever changing. It's fast. It's fun. You may suddenly move through the board really quickly. Swathe is not the right word, is it? But something like that. Sweep. A very simple word. Sweep through the board really easily. And then you're like, yes, I took over like 10 different locations. I will take 12 points, thank you. And then people go, okay, but you spread your resources very thin, so now we're going to kill you. You're like, oh, yeah, I didn't think about that. Okay, well, all right, let's put them into decline. Let's get rid of the other pieces. Let's take a new thing. Great fun. Great fun. Small World, number 6. Number 5. Surprisingly low to be at number 5. This is Scythe from Stonemaier Games, the second Stonemaier game to be on this list and not the last. Scythe. Excellent. Love it. Probably my number 1 game when balancing all things, because I think the design is amazing. The visual design is amazing. I think I can teach new people relatively easily. I think he's given a little guide that says on your first few turns, do this and see what happens and figure it out. There's just a bit of a learning curve to the strategy to it. Learning the nuance of how your randomly combined faction with your player board, because each player board is different, knowing how to work those together to know which strategy to go down comes through play. And so if you've played this before, you will more likely, not necessarily, that's the joy of it, more likely do better. You should do better, but either people pick it up quickly or just so happen to do the right thing and everything gels together and they surge forwards, or they spend a few turns trying to figure out what to do and then go, oh, okay, this is how this all works together. Great, let's do this, do this, do this, do this. The look of it is brilliant. It looks, though, like a big war game, and it's not. And so that can put people off, but I need to push them past that. Or if that encourages them, to just hold them back a little bit and go, that does exist, there is combat, but that's not what this is. This is more economic than anything else. The world, the look of the thing just immerses us in the world that they've created together. It's excellent, excellent, excellent. Scythe. But then number 4 is another Stonemaier game. And again, this might be higher because it's exciting and new. This is Tapestry. I knew this would be high when I thought about even making this list, because I'm so excited by this game right now. If I've given nearly any opportunity, because obviously there are 3 above it, but nearly any opportunity to play a game and I'm given free reign, this is one of the first few that I want to play. Sometimes it's the first one, sometimes it's like, oh, here's a few options. It's usually in it. 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, not 5. 5 players probably too long, but 2 to 4, brilliant. I'll happily teach 3 other people. I'll happily play against people that know what they're doing. Now, the advantage to Tapestry over Scythe is that the civilization is more clear in how it dictates play. And then how I teach it is much more clear on how it dictates play. And so you're not left to figure it out too much. You might not know why you're doing things, but I can say to you, just focus on these. And you go, cool, I'll do that then. Or I give you more choice and go focus on either this or this, because the opposing tracks complement each other. Focus on one axis really, and you'll do much better. Let's see what your civilization says. How does that work? Let's play. Let's have fun. And it is swingy. It is random. It is slightly less strategic than Scythe. It's less heavy for sure. But it's so much fun to pull off these massive satisfying turns, or to sit there figuring out, going, why can't I get this right? And then you suddenly click and you go, oh, I'm trying to play it wrong, I'm trying to do this, okay, let's do this. Oh yeah, it might be too late, you're probably going to lose this one. That's okay, because you suddenly go, oh okay, great, this is brilliant, and pull off something incredible. And a guy who I taught the other day was in his like last era, before we were we were 2 eras behind him pretty much. And he still nearly beat me. He still nearly came first, because his last one, suddenly, he went through it a bit quick to begin with, but he was figuring it out, and then went, okay, I now know how to manipulate everything, and did really well. Whereas another guy was going at my kind of pace, but had tried to do too much, trying to focus on everything, didn't do so well. I'm just more experienced at the game and could manipulate it a bit earlier than the other guy. And so we just all had a great time, and it's just a lot of fun. Tapestry production's amazing. Love it. Love it. I don't care what you say about the buildings. It was worth the price I paid. I totally understand any other opinion. Totally understand. They are unnecessary, and yet they're not. I love it. Love it. Tapestry. Number 3. Super light game. Arguably the lightest game on this list, even lighter than Men at Work. But such a game that I think everybody should own. And if I've got a good number of people, this would be, if we're going to move on to something like Between Two Castles, it's that kind of game, that kind of group of people, 3 to 7 people, and I go, should we just throw this in first? We might end up playing this the whole night instead. This is No Thanks. What a game. What a game. It's not a heavy game. This is not super high up on my top games ever, because the design is so simple and there's no real choice. It's probably all chance, and yet it's not. You feel like you're making these amazing choices, and if it works, because you're gambling on whether you want to take the big numbers and force other people to give you chips, or do I try and use up all my chips but not show people that I've got no chips left, to try and make them take that so I can take a load number. Oh, that tension's amazing. So good. No thanks. Everybody should own this. Fight me. Don't care. Everybody should own this. No thanks. Number 2. Onitama. Excellent. Excellent, excellent, excellent 2-player game. So these last 2 are 2-player only games. So if you've got more than that, no thanks. If you've got 2 people only, these are the 2 games that I will think of first. Onitama. Very, very fast, 5-10 minute games of the reason why I will never play chess again. You know, I happily will if somebody wants to play it, sure, I'll sit down and do it, but this is what I would suggest. Let's try this. Beautiful production from Arcane Wonders, this rollout neoprene mat and these chunky plastic pieces, but you're trying to win in one of 2 ways. Either take, in the chess sense, their king, their master, or get your master to their starting position, their home base on their side. That's it. Super simple, but it works, and it's on a little grid like chess, but much smaller one. It's 5 by 5, and you're just manipulating 5 cards between you. I have 2, you have 2, there's 1 in limbo. I use one of mine and move it. Instead of the pieces having moves, the cards have moves, and so I do one of the moves on the cards, and then I pass that card into limbo and gain the other one. But now that move I've used, once you've done whatever you're going to do, you're going to gain that card. Yes, but then I'm going to gain the one you just... So now there's another layer of thinking. Not just, how do I win? But am I giving you the thing that you need to win? And so it's just this excellent kind of compacted, very short space of time of incredible thought. Excuse me. and it's just great fun. It's so fast, but you don't have to care about it that much. It's just fun to do and fun to play, and you can do it in 5 minutes. I've done it with children, and it works. They get it because it's just do what the card says. All right, get rid of it. Get another one. Do what the card says. Okay, and all the while seeing the pieces move out, and actually you care more and more about it as the game goes on. And it's still, as I say, it might only be 5 minutes long, but it's great. It's brilliant. Onitama, check it out. A little bit expensive for what it is, but the production values make it worth it. Number 1, prizes if you can guess. Close. Keyforge. Had to be. 2-player game. My number 2 game, I think, currently on my list after Scythe. But the new set's just come out. So it's just shot to the top again. I just want to play this all the time. I think in the last week I've had our playmat out 3 or 4 times, just playing myself, just trying a couple of the new decks against all my old decks to go, how good are they? And that the thinking around the game excites me just as much as the game does. And it doesn't everybody, and I get that. People love constructing their own decks. Some people hate dueling card games. Fair, go to play Onitama or Tapestry or Scythe or something. Like, there's loads of other games on this list you can do. I love them, and this is the perfect one for me because I'm rubbish at constructing decks, but I like the luck of the draw element, trying to think about what's coming out. How do I manipulate my deck or my opponent or my battle line or whatever it is, to the best that I can to achieve the thing. But at the same time, it's not a dueling game, it's a racing game, it's a resource game. You're trying to forge 3 keys before they do, and so it just asks you to do everything, and only gives you one deck, only one set of 36 cards to go figure it out. And that for me is such good fun, and I love teaching people this game. I love just the process of trying out decks. I love coming back to old decks and rediscovering them, or just, I think these two are so evenly matched, I'm going to play them like 4 times and 5 times in a row just to see how they match up, what's their stats like. Just that, all that thinking around it is excellent. If you come round and say, I'll play anything you want, chances are I'm going to say Keyforge. So those are 25 games that if you came through the door right now and said, Deep, play, we can play anything you want to do, those are the things that I'm going to think of. And out of that list, if anything catches your eye particularly, yes, I'm so excited, let's play that thing. So thank you for watching. I hope you've got some potentially new ideas of games that you might want to look at. As I say, I'll put a link to Board Game Geek so you can search all of these games to find them, a link to my Why I Like, so you can see a few of these games I've done these videos for, to see a bit more about them, what they look like, how they play, so you understand more of my excitement around them. Thank you for sticking with it. I hope to see you again. Do subscribe to this channel if you don't already, and follow us on social media. Just search Winsome Loosemore on the various platforms, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing. You will find us. Yeah, thanks. I've been Dieter for Winsome Loosemore. Goodbye.